Are you paying more than fair share of your property taxes? I thought I was. I looked at the report that we get from the assessor office, and I noticed that my property taxes has significantly increased. So this was only natural for me to go search online and see what's happening in my neighborhood. And to my surprise, actually, the prices of other properties in my neighborhood had not changed. The change was very specific to my property only. So that got me very, very curious. More importantly, the houses that were right next to mine were significantly bigger than my house as well. So you would think that their property tax will be higher than mine, but it was the exact opposite. Mine was showing a lot more than theirs. So because of these reasons, I decided to reach out to the assessor office to kind of find out why that is. And I was hoping that I was going to get some sort of response that, hey, these are computer generated, there's some averages, there's some numbers, we look at this. At least that's what I was expecting. But to my surprise, the assessor office said, look, there's an actual assessor who looks at every single property, and they are responsible for giving it a price. Why don't you speak with that assessor? Well, in a 21st century, I'm still talking to a human being. That got me excited. I'm like, okay, this is good. It's a human being. I can reason with them. I can try to explain to them why they might have made a mistake. And obviously they took my number down, and the assessor called me back like within 5 minutes. So that was awesome. I wasn't expecting that call for like maybe next 2-3 days, but to my surprise, he did call back almost instantly. And I tried to explain him my situation, and I reasoned with him that, hey, look, I have a smaller property, and yet my neighbor's properties are showing less valuation than mine. Why is that? What's so special about my property that makes it so much more valuable than others? So uh, he said, look, I cannot comment on your neighbor's property. I'm like, why is that? He goes like, well, because I did not put the value for those properties. I'm like, what do you mean? Is it possible that you will put a value X and your coworker might put a value Y on exactly two same properties? Like, yeah, that is quite possible. So don't be surprised if somebody else is paying less property taxes than you are, because your property taxes were actually determined by one individual and your neighbor might be somebody else. Anyhow, that's the lesson number one I learned. So now lesson number two, I said, okay, so can you please explain to me, how did you arrive at this value? What was your formula? How do you guys use the formula? And he says, well, we look at the recent sales in your area. I'm like, if you look at the recent sale, then wouldn't everybody's property value will almost be similar, at least somewhere close to each other in the neighborhood? He says, well, not really, because each one of us, each assessor, gets to decide which property they want to use as a baseline. Meaning, let's say if assessor one can use property A and assessor B can use property B. That means two neighbors with exact same homes will end up with two different valuation. Something new for me to learn. So I try to reason with him and I says, well, okay, if that's the case, can I give you or show you maybe three different properties in my neighborhood that have recently sold? And then you can determine the value based on that. He said, no, can't do that either. I said, okay. Can I show you valuation by Zillow or Redfin or some of these other platforms out there? Maybe we can do a screen share and you can kind of show me how you are getting your value. He said, all of those tools are wrong, every single one of them. So who is right? He is. Everybody's wrong except him. He's the only person who is right. Okay. Um, can you show me three homes that are recently sold in my neighborhood, which are exactly similar to my home? So that way we can justify the price. He says, no, I would not do that. So how the heck in the world did you come up with the valuation if you don't agree with any of these people? His answer is, I pick a home that is close enough to your property and I find the home that is most expensive and it's sold within a certain time frame. So let's say if he picks a home that is $5 million in my neighborhood that got sold, maybe it has 20,000 square foot yard or a 5 acre yard or 20 bedrooms. He doesn't care. He's gonna put one most expensive home in that area, and he's going to use that as a baseline number. And I'm like, that just makes no sense. What if the property, like, let's say somebody did, who knows what happened with that property? What about if the next property sold was significantly cheaper? Doesn't that justify the price is less? He says, no, I don't look at that. I'm going to pick the most expensive property possible. Okay, so now it got me thinking, like, this is just making no sense. I don't see where is he going with that. I says, can you please give me the address of property that you use as a baseline? So he shared that address. And when I pulled it up on Zillow, I noticed that property is nowhere even close to my property. Different square foot, different backyard, different front yard, different location. Like it's like apples and oranges, nowhere even close. And I try to bring that up to him and reason with him. I like, okay, I can understand that maybe somehow you put up a number there, maybe you thought was equal. But take a look at these two properties. They're not even same square footage. They're not even same yard. They're not even same location. Why do you think these two properties are same valuation? Even if you want to put the most expensive number, even if you want to pick the most expensive number, shouldn't you find something that is similar to my property? His answer is no. He can pick any property he likes. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. So I'm still going to try to dig deeper into it and find the right answer. But the more I reason with him, more he refused to listen. And I don't know if there's some fraud going on or if everybody's treated this way. So I thought maybe I should bring this up to public, and each one of you guys can do a couple of steps. Number one, you can call the county and find out who was the assessor on your property, and have that assessor give you a call. Once he gives you a call, get an address of the property that he used to evaluate your property, and then go take a look if that's the same square footage, if it's in the same area, if the neighborhood matches, if the front yard, backyard, you want the evaluation needs to be like similar properties. You're never going to find something exactly same. I understand that, but something similar would be justifiable, right? I try to reason with him. I'm like, at the very least, shouldn't, because of new construction, I said, can't you go by the pricing of permits? Can't you check with the city? No. I'm like, can you get a pricing from a contractor? No. Can you get a pricing from bank? How much they spend on the property? No. He would not take any of those. He would not take a look at the recent sales. He will not take the properties that I will show him. He would not give me some choices of properties. He will pick his own property, whatever property he likes. That's the way he put it, and would not budge from that opinion. I had sent him a dispute letter last year, which he denied. I called him and discussed with him, and once again was not able to reason with him at all. He said the only choice I have is take a day off and go to their hearing and trying to make my case there. I guess the purpose is make it hard enough that nobody wants to do it, and he can get away with doing that whole day long. Now, I don't know if that's just his policy, or that's a policy of the county, or that's what the policy of the state, or if it's being done to everyone, or I was just, one out of many. So I don't know. I don't have answers to any of those. I'm investigating all those things, but I thought if any one of you are feeling that you are paying more than your fair share of property taxes, then at the bare minimum you want to do that. So at least you will know what was the unit, what was the address of unit that was used to determine your assessed value. So do that. And then if I do decide to go to the hearing, or if I find some other venue to deal with this, I will update you in the next video. Till then, goodbye. Thank you.